live. Welcome back, everyone, to our daily live feed. As we're waiting for everyone to get logged on, as always, if you would like to come and work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all of the fun stuff when it comes to competing for the ladies. In this live feed, we covered both Masters Nationals and the Chicago Pro. So for tonight's episode of our YouTube wrap-up, we're going to jump right into the Chicago Pro. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you like so we can provide more amazing content for you here on BSPN. With that said, we are going to move into Chicago Pro. So in the midst of all of this, I did get the live stream for Chicago. I went back and watched stuff that I missed. The only class I didn't get a chance to go watch was figure. So we are going to touch on figure real quick, but I'm not going to deep dive into it because I didn't get a chance to go watch it. We are going to talk about wellness and we are going to talk about bikini at the end. So first things first with figure. Like I mentioned, I foresaw that Julia Waring would move her way up the week before she had placed 5th at the Linda Murray. And I just know Julia. I know when she does one show, she gets feedback and she comes back the next one better. And that's exactly what she did, and she came in and won it. So she was very, very sweet to give me a little shout out and everything too. You know, she's one of our perennial speakers for Kitties Conquer the Stage. We bring her back every year because the girls love her, and she's just a phenomenal speaker. And she's just a phenomenal athlete for the sport as well. And she just came back better at this show. And, you know, one of the things that we worked on at the beginning of the year was just her overall sass on stage, her overall stage presence to her posing, and just brought a little bit more of that out of her, got her moving a little bit more. And also what we talked about was the braids in her hair. Now, we've mentioned this. She's always wanted to wear her braids. She's always wanted to wear that. And she always felt like she was told she had to wear a wig, you know? So this year she came out with the look she wanted and she rocked it and she won. So now she's going to the Olympia. So I know this was a very important win for her, a very sentimental win for her. And I could not be more happy to see her take the title here and go back to the Olympia again this year. So I was so happy for Julia. Yeah, congratulations to her. Absolutely. Yes, she's heading back to the O. She sure is. She sure is. So, again, you know, we go back to this concept of she's a fantastic person as well. And I love seeing people that are fantastic people succeed. So this was great. This was great to see her win this show. You know, as you guys know, Chicago Pro is a top tier pro show, which means it is very, very tough competition. I did actually watch the men too. So I just want to give a shout out to Hunter Labrada. I've actually known Hunter for a long time. I was sponsored by Labrada for a couple of years, and the whole Labrada family are amazing people. So I love seeing Hunter actually moving up in the sport. I think he's a phenomenal person, and I think that he's a phenomenal bodybuilder as well. He was so controlled on that stage. Like, I could not stop watching him and thinking he was just like a bigger version of his dad. You know what I mean? So that was really cool to watch as well. I love seeing the new generation coming in better. So I wanted to give a quick shout out for him too, just because, you know, like I said, I'm really excited to see how far he can go in the sport. I could see him being a future Mr. Olympia. So it was really cool to see that. So yes, I'm thinking being your comfortable self is probably the best showing. Absolutely, yes. Hunter brought a fantastic package. He sure did, and he looked amazing. He sure did. And if you guys know anything about the Pro League, Steve Weinberger was head judge at this show, and he likes to work these classes. He likes to work these guys. And the more that he worked these top guys, the better Hunter got, and the worse a lot of the other guys got. Actually, Brett Wilkins, who is Ivana Evusic's husband, came in second, and he got better as he posed too. So that was really exciting to see as well. So a little shout out there too for Miss Ivana's husband there. So, but anyway, I like watching the guys. You guys should watch the guys. If you don't, you should. You know, they paved the way for us. You know what I mean? So get to know your open men as well. So big shout out to Brett on his pro debut. Yep, exactly. And that's what I was just saying. It was his pro debut, and he ended up coming in second, jumping some perennial Olympians and things like that. So that was really awesome, really fun and exciting to see too. So expect big things out of him coming. So, okay, we're going to move on to wellness next. Let me get up the wellness pictures. So I did go back and watched wellness because I was doing hair and makeup and all that stuff during the time frame when wellness was actually on. And the girl that won it, Cassandra, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she has actually moved from figure to wellness. Now, the pictures on NPC News Online, I feel like are very contrasty. So I don't know if it's like a mix between the pictures and what I actually saw in the live stream as far as how they actually looked in person. But I feel like the pictures on NPC News are very contrasty, and then the live stream was very not contrasty. So what I tried to do is I tried to kind of pick a middle ground for these people to kind of get an idea of what they actually looked like. And what I can say with this Cassandra, between her and the top 3 girls, it was very, very close. And I think that Cassandra had the best overall balance from the back. I think from the front, all 3 of them looked really good. I didn't like Cassandra's front pose. I wasn't a fan of it. It just looked awkward. It was weird. She was more straight on, and she had her knees out, which was fine, but she needed to twist a little bit. I just wasn't a fan of the way she was in that front pose stance. I'd like to see a little bit more twist on that, but I think when she actually was in the poses, she was the best balanced from front to back of those top 3. Conditioning wise, she was right on as well. She wasn't too hard, she wasn't too soft, she was right there. So with that, like, you know, when I was looking at it back and forth, even though I wasn't a big fan of her front pose, I do think from the back that's where she won it because she was balanced. Now, the thing with wellness you have to understand is that, yes, it's lower body dominant for sure, but you have to have a balance on the lower body. Like, you can't look at the lower body and all you see is glutes, or you can't look at the lower body and all you see is legs. You want to see a balance of both. And that's what she had. It wasn't like her legs overpowered her glutes or vice versa. She had a good balance between the two. So I do think that was what probably put her over the edge as far as why she won this show. Now, in reality, though, when I look at second place, which was Bruna, let me pull her pictures up real quick. I actually liked Bruna's look better. I felt like she was more polished. I liked this blue suit on her. I know she wore a yellow one before. I liked this blue one on her better. I thought her polish was better, but I felt she lacked a little bit of pop from the back. From the front, I actually liked her better. I liked her look better from the front. But when we turned her to the back, and you can't really tell this from the pictures, but you can when you get them next to each other on the live stream, she lacked a little bit of the pop that Cassandra had. Cassandra had a little bit more pop than Bruna did in her back shot. But she is very well balanced. Again, same thing that I mentioned before. We want a well balanced physique from the back, and she has that. So I think if she had come in with a little bit more fullness from the back, she would have leapfrogged and gotten into that first place spot. But I think that's what knocked her down into second here. Regardless, she still qualified for the Olympia. Top 2 in wellness right now qualify for the Olympia. So she is Olympia qualified now, which is awesome. Third place, Renee Jewett. I liked her look as well. However, she had a little bit too much oil on her backside, which made her glutes look greasy, if that makes any sense. She had a little bit too much oil on her backside, and it made her glutes look a little bit soft because of that. I don't think she was. I think it was the glaze. I think the glaze was the problem. And then also, we see this happen sometimes. Her tan was a little bit splotchy, and it really was accentuated by the fact that she had on a green suit. If she had on a different colored suit, I don't think we would have noticed the splotchiness in the tan quite as much. But that green can sometimes pull the dark spots and things like that. Like if you look through her pictures, there's a few spots where like her inner thighs are a little bit darker than the rest of her, that kind of thing. So I think those little details like that, just a little bit too much glaze. I think if she had a different suit color on, we wouldn't have noticed these things in her tan. I think those are the things that put her in third. And let me look at her back shot real quick. And again, I think this was the glaze problem. I also felt like from the back she was glute heavy. And again, I think it was the glaze, because when I'm looking at the pictures on NPC News Online, I don't feel that as much as what I did when I was watching the live stream. When I was watching the live stream, I was like, holy crap, her glutes, and it was the glaze. It was just, she was too shiny. So surprisingly enough, that kind of thing matters, you know what I mean? Because that's where my eye went. My eye kept going to her glutes. So our green suit's not ideal for that reason. No, it depends on your skin tone. a lot of girls green looks really, really good on. But if you are going to pull a little bit ashy on your tan, or a little bit ashy or a little bit of that depth or whatever, it can pull and make it look more green. Like a person like myself, I have a very rosy undertone to my skin, so green actually looks really good on me. But if you have a little bit of a green, an olive, or yellow undertone to your skin, sometimes that green cannot be the best color for you, because it can pull and make you look more green. Right? So I think that that's what was going on here with her. So that's why you have to understand what colors look best on you for your skin tone and everything like that when it comes to the colors that you pick for your suit. But overall, I mean, it was a really good look. I think those little details like that, though, again, is what put her in third versus bumping her up maybe a little bit. And then Daisha, is that how you pronounce it? This was an improved look for her. She has come in shredded, like hard as nails before. This was a bit better. She was a bit softer, better look for her. I would like to see a little bit of a cleaner look with her hair. I noticed this a lot, specifically in wellness. I thought I saw like a lot of kind of messy hair. Now I know it was very hot in this particular venue, so that could have been what it was. It could have been a lot of like sweating and things like that. But I felt like her hairstyle was just a little bit messy. And I felt that about the girl that won this too, this Cassandra. I felt like her hair was a little bit messy as well. So those things make a difference on that overall polish. That's what I kept looking at with her. Now she has super round muscle bellies with her quads and everything like that, which is almost a little too much, almost. I don't think it is. I think it's almost a little bit too much. But it's just like, and I say this and whenever I say these words, I want you to understand that I'm saying it in a complimentary way. It's like a freak factor. She's got a freak factor to her muscle bellies, which is great, but it's also a little bit distracting on the overall flow as well. So I think overall this was a great package for her. It was definitely a bump up from where she's been in the past. Her suit bottoms didn't fit her quite right in the back. They were a little bit baggy, so she needs to fix that. And her back pose was not the best either. Her arms and elbows were way out. So I'm not sure why she posed like that. That I tell you guys all the time, the chicken wing thing, I hate looking at chicken wings with your arms. That's what she's got going on here. She needs to just let those arms come down and relax them. And that would have been a much more flattering pose for her from the back. So, little things. Again, we're talking about these little things. These polished details are what's separating first from fifth. Right? That's what's the separation here. Because overall, the physiques were very, very comparable in that first call out. Very comparable in the first call out. Some were a little bit too popped. Some were a little bit too flat. But very, very little minute details. It was these little polished details I believe made the difference between first and fifth. That kind of thing. Who did we get up to? So that was fourth. So let's go to fifth, and then we'll move on to Bikini. So Mallory was in fifth. Pretty girl, she's one of those girls that when you see her on stage, she's very beautiful. She's got a very beautiful look. I like the beautiful look and everything with her suit, her hair, her makeup, everything beautiful. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more smiley. She has kind of the RBF face, which is fine. I have an RBF face too. It's okay, but a little bit more smiley would be nice. Her posing needs some work. Front pose, I'm not a fan of it. It's like a modified women's physique bikini mix kind of a pose. I'd like to see a little bit of a different front pose for her. Let's see. There were a few times where I saw her suck her waistline in too much. I'm not seeing it here really in the pictures, but I did see it on the live stream where she sucked in a little bit too hard. So you just got to be careful with that core control. And she's one that is a little bit leg heavy. So like we mentioned, we want to see a balance between the legs and the glutes. I felt like she was a little bit too much legs versus glutes. But overall, again, really pretty package. She's a very pretty girl, and I like the overall aesthetics of her. And really, again, very comparable. Let me see. One last thing I'm going to do with these guys before I move on to Bikini. Let me pull this up real quick. See if there's anything I missed. I'm going to pull up the comparison shots and just see if there's anything I missed with this stuff. Yeah, Mallory just needs some help with her poses, really. Yeah, I think, in general, I like Bruna the best in this lineup, to be honest with you. But I think what made her go to second versus first, She just lacked a little bit of pop in her glutes. Other than that, if she had that pop there like Cassandra did in first, I would have put her in first. 100% would have put her in first. Yeah. Yep. I think that like part of that could have been her posing. She's squatting a little bit too much into her legs, into her knees. She's squatting a little bit. But I think her overall look was very, very good. Yeah, so anyway, so that's about everything. Nothing really else that I missed in this situation here. I'd like to, like I said, I'd like to see Mallory smile a little bit more, and I'd like to see some work done on her posing. Daisha needs to pull her waistline in a little bit, stand up a little bit taller on her quarter turns. Front pose on her is really nice, though. That's that freak factor with those round muscle bellies on her. Yeah. So that's wellness. Any questions on wellness as I'm pulling up Bikini? We're gonna move on to Bikini, which is what y'all are here for, right? Let me pull that water up real quick here. All right. So this was exciting. You know, everybody's waiting for this. You know, everybody knew that Laura Lee was coming back since the Olympia. And when you've got a top 5 Olympian coming in, it's always an exciting thing. And it did not disappoint for excitement, that's for sure. So I'm going to start with 5th and move my way up on this. I did watch this one like 5 times. So, and what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about what I said as well between prejudging finals, and then afterwards they had judging feedback, and the judging feedback came out, and guess what? I said exactly what the judges said. So, just saying. Laura Lee was absolutely gorgeous. Yes, she's a beautiful girl. First of all, she's gorgeous. But we're gonna get to her at the very last. And then we're gonna talk about the whole thing together. So we'll start at 5th. So 5th was Crystal Bellina. Crystal Bellina has steadily been improving. Crystal Bellina still needs some work on her posing. Her glutes were a little bit soft. They lacked a little bit of that tie-in the back. Her posing is getting a lot better. You know, I mentioned this a couple of shows ago. Omaha, her posing was way off in Omaha. Posing was a lot better in Texas. It's getting a little bit better here, but I think what she's doing, she's kind of fighting between old muscle memory and the new poses. It's really hard to change your posing that quickly, but she's doing a very good job at it. She's doing a very good job at amending her poses. Her posing is looking a whole lot better than it did a couple of shows ago. So I want to give her mad props on that. Overall, her physique looks a lot better than she did her first show this season. But again, she was a little bit soft in the glutes. Hamstring tie-in wasn't really there as much as the other girls. And I do think her back pose still needs some work. Let me pull up her back pose real quick. Yeah, elbows are still out a little bit too far. Back pose is close. It's really close. This is the best back pose I've seen on her so far. She's really close. Just still needs to tweak it just a little bit more. But yeah, really good improvements over the last couple of shows. And I think she was very appropriately placed where she was put. So this is a good finish for her for sure. Let's see. Let's move to Ivana. So Ivana is super cute. Oh my gosh. Super cute girl. She's a little too hard from the back. From the back, she's just a little bit too hard. Let me pull up her back shot here. Super smiley, pretty beautiful girl. Had a beautiful smile on the whole time she was on stage. Was really like, it captivated you, pulled you in. But yeah, she was just a little bit too hard through the back. And again, you can't really see this on the pictures, but you can see it on the live stream. She was a little bit harder than everybody else in that first call out. And I did realize too, and again, in the comparisons, that her tan was a little bit light, in comparison to everybody else. She was a little bit light on her tan. So overall, she just needs to soften up a touch. But again, super cute girl. Looking at her back pose, I think her back pose is great. Let me find her front pose here real quick, or she's actually in one. There's a lot of them where she's transitioning. Front pose, she just needs to move her hand that's on her waistline. Her hand is covering her belly button. She just needs to pull it back a little bit. And other than that, her front pose looks great. But you can even see in this particular front pose, I mean, she's got etched in abs, and you don't want all that in bikini. That's too much. That's too hard. So she's just a little bit too lean. She just needs to fill out a little bit, and just put a little bit of softness in there. And I mean a little bit, like a half a pound, because she's a small girl too. She's the shortest. She was the shortest one in that call out, I think, if Maureen wasn't shorter than her. So she doesn't have to go far. She just needs to soften up just a touch. But her proportions are amazing. She's, again, really, really beautiful girl. So overall, this was a very, very good package for her. She just needs to be a little bit, not quite so lean, not quite so hard, and she would move up, because she's very well balanced from top to bottom. Very, very well balanced. Let's see. And then we got Miss Jasmine in third. So my heart was going like a mile a minute when she was on stage, because, she got moved into the center and was compared. She was taken off of the top three. I do believe third was where she should have been. She was just a little bit soft and lacked a little bit of pop in that back shot. Needed some more fullness, needed some more pop back there. Just needs to be a little bit tighter. There she is, right there. Miss Jasmine's on here. But overall, I love this look. And those of you that have been following, you know that she switched her front pose side. So right after Republic of Texas, she sent me shots of her 2 front poses, and I was like, oh my god, that other side looks so good. It's so well balanced. So let's work on it. So all week last week, she was sending me pictures as she was working on it and perfecting it and things like that. And by the time we got to I think it was Friday, I think she got it perfect. And I was like, that's it right there. That's the pose. That's your front pose from now on, right? And I was like, Jasmine, beautiful. Yes, strong work. Yes, absolutely. And so I was so thrilled to see her in this pose too, because she just looked so tall, and it's like she took over the stage. I know that Jasmine, you're what, 5'5", 5'4.5", something like that, and Laura Lee is 5'8". You looked almost as tall as Laura Lee. I'm like, you look like a statuesque bikini competitor. You look like that girl that should be on the trophy. I was like, that's it. That's the look right there. And she just took over the stage. I was so, so happy with that. Jasmine has great stage presence to begin with, but there was just something about that front pose that just brought it all together for her this weekend, and I just loved it. It was fantastic. So she sure did. She looked stunning, absolutely. So she was a little bit soft. We know that. We know she needs to get a little bit tighter, and she needs to pop a little bit more in the glutes. All of that, but I think overall this was an improved package from her the week before. And let's see, yes, 5'4.5". Yeah. She's 5'4.5", so she's a good 4 inches shorter, 3.5 inches shorter than Laura Lee, and she didn't look it. She didn't look it at all. She looked like she was comparable, It was nerve-wracking. I'm sure it was nerve-wracking. You're standing next to one of the top 5 athletes in the world, you know what I mean? And that, when I saw that go down, I was like, Jasmine is a top 5 Olympian. Bottom line, that's in her future, very near future, I believe. And it was just a very exciting thing to see. And I'm really, really excited to see what comes after this, because this was just the tip of the iceberg. She's really starting to come into her own and find herself on stage, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. I'm just thrilled to be here. So yeah, I was super excited. And again, I think that this was just the beginning. And I think that her next show is gonna be even better than this one. So so excited. Yeah, so excited for her. So she knows what she needs to do to improve and get up into that top 2 spots, but to be compared next to a top 5 Olympian ain't so shabby. Just saying. And hang with her too, not just compared, but hang with her, so yeah, I'm gonna speak it into existence now. I see her in that top 5 in the Olympia. I'm just saying, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So let's go back and go to Maureen. So this was the first time that Maureen has been on stage in over a year, at least, because of COVID and everything like that. Her first Olympia, she did place top 10 at her first Olympia, which was 2019. She's a gorgeous girl. Like, I was laughing because the whole time she was on stage, she did not smile once, and she didn't need to. Like, she's just beautiful, like sexy, everything about her. I loved her look. Now, I will say this, because she has such a dark complexion, dark hair, I would like to see a brighter suit on her. I mean, I think she would look phenomenal in a red suit. I think if she had a red suit on, that would have popped her whole look to the next level. I had her very, very tight with Laura Lee, very tight, because she's very well balanced from top to bottom. If she would have just, and she was the darkest girl on stage when it came to her tan, so that's why I think also having like that brighter, like a bright fire red on her would have really popped off of her. So I think that something like that would have potentially pushed her up into that first place spot, just something to pop on her whole frame, right? She did wear red before, and it was my favorite on her. Yes, I agree. And I think that that is where she needs to go, because, like, again, she's a very sexy girl, and I think that that just pulls that whole look together. You know, when you wear red, you got to have the personality for it, and she's got it. I mean, she's got that personality. I think she's gorgeous. I think front back, she looked phenomenal. And again, I think it was very, very tight between her and Laura Lee. And I actually heard from one of the judges that they did have her, they liked her better. So I love her look, and I think with a couple of little tweaks, I think she could be a big threat too. Like, I really believe that these top 3 girls could potentially be top 5 Olympians, and she's one of them right there. She's absolutely one of them. So yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is maybe a little bit tighter in the hamstrings from the back. But even that, I don't even know if that's something I would do. Again, I think that she was just, because she was darker than everybody else, I think a pop of color, like a pop of red, would have helped. Let me see, I'm looking at her front pose and see if there's anything that I see. Her posing was on point too. She can pull her hand back a little bit. She's got her hand on her belly button. Now shoulders are nice and full. Yeah, I think she just needed a little bit of pop. Just a little bit of pop. That's it. Pull that hand back on your waistline. That's it. Front pose looks great, though. And she just has that attitude. She's got that smolder look. That look. Just like that. And she looks phenomenal. Yeah, maybe a little more pop in the glutes, a little bit tighter through the hamstring, maybe. But I just like to see her pop a little with the red. That's my 2 cents on that. And I think that would have pushed her up. Because I don't see, she doesn't need to be leaner. She doesn't need to be, I mean, maybe put more pop in the glutes, but that's about it. Yeah. So, let's see. And of course, everybody's waiting for is Laura Lee. So, Laura Lee is a gorgeous girl regardless. I mean, she could wear a paper bag and be gorgeous. So there's that. She did come back this year with significantly more muscle, and that was what her feedback was, that it was too much. And I agree with that. She's a tall girl. She's 5'9", so she's similar to, or I'm sorry, 5'8". I'm 5'9", similar to my size. So when you're a big girl like that, you need to have more muscle in order to be comparable to smaller girls on stage. So I understand that. I understand putting on more muscle. That's actually something that I'm working with Jamie on. She wants me to have too much muscle, because then you can pull it down real quick. But it's hard to put muscle back on once you're in a prep, that kind of thing. So we'd rather be too big and be told to be brought down. You know what I mean? And that's where Laura Lee is at right now. She's too big. Specifically in the glutes. Now, she still looks phenomenal, and I wish, I would pray to the glute gods to have half of her glutes. You know what I mean? But there's a criteria to stick to with Bikini. So I know that for her next show, that, you know, they were mentioning feedback and all that kind of stuff. For her next show, she's going to pull it down a little bit more. Just rein it in a few pounds, which I think she needs to do, specifically in those glutes, because it is just the glutes are just too big at this point. They're outside of bikini realm. And the problem with that too is that when you look at glutes like that as a normal girl, you guys that are watching right now, you're like, there's no way in hell I can look like that. You know what I mean? And that's bikini's supposed to be attainable. So bravo to Laura Lee for being a freaking glute genetic freak. Bravo. But just to pull them down a little bit. Now, one of the other things that I mentioned too, when I was watching the call outs and everything, is that it looked like she had a film of water on her frame, and she was told that she needed to be a little bit tighter. So I don't know exactly where that came from, but she did look like she had a film. Specifically, you could see it on her thighs more than anything else, on her quads. So all of these little things just need to be tweaked. And, you know, I think it's a smart move to be doing this kind of stuff now before you go to the Olympia, when you have no opportunity to fix it once you're at the Olympia. Now, one of the things that I said at the Olympia, I had her predicted as winning the Olympia this past year. And when she came out and did her individual at the Olympia, I was like, holy crap, she looks phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, this is over. But by the time she got out for comparisons, she had shriveled, and she was way smaller than everybody else in that top call out. So she does need to be bigger. She does need to be bigger, and she needs to fix these little tweaks and stuff going into the Olympia. I understand that 100%. I think it's smart that she's doing this now, to kind of figure out what the best thing for her to do is once she gets to the Olympia, because I know she doesn't want to be on the outside of that top 5 anymore. So, in person, her glutes are magical. That's too funny. I wonder how many of her glute guides she sold after Saturday, right? Seriously, her glutes are so fire, right? And, you know, and it's like, holy shit. Like, that's what you think when you see that, which is amazing for her, again, but you also have to remember that bikini is supposed to be attainable, an attainable look. And I know my glutes ain't never going to look like that. I'm just saying, they never, not even close, not even close. So, you know, you got to pick your battles. And, you know, and bringing this to another topic, you know, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and, when it comes to PEDs in the sport. And I'm not saying that this is correlating with Laura Lee. I want to put that out there right now. I'm not saying this is correlating with Laura Lee. But the problem with a lot of bikini girls taking PEDs is you can easily grow yourself out of a division, right? So just imagine, like, if you have somebody with these amazing genetics and then they start taking crap and then all of a sudden they're way outside the realm of this particular division, you're gone over it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that's what Laura Lee's doing. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that bikini is supposed to be attainable. It's supposed to be something that those of us off the street can come in and walk in and do. So, you know, I'm glad she got the feedback that she needs to pull it down a little bit. I'm glad she got that feedback. So I added those glutes to my daily prayers, right? Let's be real, it's past attainable for most. Right, exactly, it is. It's what she has is past attainable. So, you know, the fact is that bikini is supposed to be something that you can look at as a new competitor and say, I can strive and want to be that, right? So I'm glad that the judges came in and gave that feedback. It's important to keep bikini where it is. You know, this happened a few years ago too, where the look just went way off the charts for bikini and they had to rein it back down in. So I'm glad they nip it off, cut it off at the pass. You know what I mean? Right here, this is a great look, but we need to keep this in the realm of attainability, right? So bow down to Miss Laura Lee. You know, like, dude, I don't even know how, I don't know. But I'm just saying, you know, and again, she's a gorgeous girl. So regardless of how big or how small her glutes are, she's still beautiful. Like, that's one of the things that makes you a top 5 Olympian, you know, that look, that presence. And I will also say that her posing definitely improved at this particular show in comparison to past shows. I felt overall her look was a lot better at this show than I've seen. And not saying that she was bad at other shows, but I just think overall her look was a lot better. So I'm interested to see how she reins her physique in the next show she's doing, which I think they said is Pacific USA's is the next one she's going to do. So I'll be interested to see what the changes are that she makes for that. And then if they adjust anything else going into Olympia, you know what I mean? So she got her Olympic qualification. I think we all agree that was going to happen regardless. You know what I mean? But like I said, I didn't want to put her in my first place spot because I did that for Olympia last year and I jinxed it. So you gotta know how to play it, right? is wellness supposed to be attainable? Wellness is a little bit different. So I'm not going to go down that whole long line, but wellness comes from years and years and years of muscle development. Bikini is the entry level of our sport. That's the entry level of bodybuilding. So again, it needs to be something that ladies that walk in off the street look at and say, I can look like that. That's what bikini is supposed to be, right? I had this standing the next day, and she said that she had so many calls about her glutes, and he said she thought that it was the photographers that make them look as big as they are. Nope, it was not, because she got feedback from the head judge that her glutes were too big. She got feedback from the head judge that her glutes were too big. So it was actually her glutes. It was actually her glutes. So yeah, and she was told that, which is good. Again, I'm glad that they came out and said something. I'm glad that they told her to rein it in, because it's just a little too much, right? Because again, I mean, I'm jelly, but it ain't gonna happen for me. Just saying. So overall, she looks phenomenal though, and I'm hoping that she can really like rein it in, so that she finds the right look for herself when she gets on the Olympia stage. Can we please give a shout out to Justine Monroe, who was clearly ahead of her time, OG glute goddess. Well, and you know what? I love Justine, but even Justine's glutes don't compare to this. They don't. Justine's glutes they were great. Don't get me wrong. She had great glutes, but they were a little bit harder. Like hers, like Laura Lee's are just bubbles, like bubbly glutes, like not even in the same realm. Was Steve head judge? Yes, Steve was head judge. Yep. Yes, Justine OG, right? Yes. Yeah, so, and I will say that, I know that Justine had great glutes, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she didn't, but they are like apples and oranges, like legit, like different shapes completely. Like Frida's, yes, Frida. And again, you see Frida, and she's moving up to wellness. So when you got glutes like that, you got to make those kinds of decisions, whether you want to grow, and Frida made the decision to move and grow into wellness, So I don't see Laura Lee's frame as being a wellness frame, because while she has huge glutes, she does not have the legs to match by any stretch of the imagination. So she would need a lot of time. A lot of time if she wanted to build into wellness. I just don't see that. She's just got such a long frame. I go back to that concept of the taller you are, the harder it is to fill out this way. You know what I mean? Like, I know from experience, it's really hard to look big on stage. So again, giving Laura Lee props on that, because she looked big on stage, and she's 5'8", So did a great job with building, right? So again, going back to that same thing that I said about myself working with Jamie, with my coach, she's like, listen, we want you to be too muscular because we can pull you back. We can rein you in. And I think that's the same scenario here with Laura Lee. They can rein her in, real quick, real easy. So it's crazy she can get her glutes like that without building legs. Yeah, and again, some people just have those genetics. Laura Lee from the start has always had great genetics for the sport, period. She's just a freak of nature. And again, when I say freak of nature, I say it in the best way possible. She's got those genetic genes, and she can grow like that. 99.999% of the rest of the population cannot. So bravo to her, you know what I mean? But y'all, we gotta keep this in the realm of possibilities, right? So any questions, guys? Any questions? Overall, like I said, this was a very exciting weekend. The Chicago Pro Show was a very exciting show regardless. It was so much fun to watch, and I'm looking forward. Like, this is just the start, like we talked about, a few weeks ago. This is when the heavy hitters are coming out. The heavy hitters are coming out, and they're coming out hard, and they're coming out strong. And these competitions are no joke, you guys. Like, some of the girls that won earlier in this season, they better be taking notes right now. They better be taking notes, because these girls ain't playing. I mean, they're ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. So, yeah. Any questions before we hang it up for tonight? I know, I can't wait for Tampa either. Tampa's going to be awesome. I know that we've got Jen Dory doing that one, and Issa Piccini, so that's going to be a battle right there. Tampa should be great with Issa and Jen. Yep, just said it. Yep. And the Arnold. The Arnold's going to be amazing as well. I've got my room all ready to go. Can't wait. Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun the next couple of months. The next couple of months are gonna be very, very interesting. And these girls don't have a whole lot more time to qualify for this Olympia. The last show that they can qualify is Arizona at the beginning of September. So we're down to the nitty gritty, you guys. The nitty gritty. Excited to see what Jazzy does with Fit Body Fusion. Yes, me too. Me too. I'm excited to see how that goes for her. Leveling up right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, any other questions, you guys? And while we're wrapping up here, as always, you can go to suitsandposing.com to work with me. Going into this week, we do have a local show that I'll be here. I'm my sponsor, and I'm here every year for that. And then we have Tampa next week, and I will be there. I will be there in Tampa. We have a lot of girls doing that one. Super excited for that one. And then I have a week off. And then we will be at National Fit Show. So National Fit Show will be a lot of fun, too. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're up to North Americans, and then the Arnold. I mean, it's just rolling right along. So, all right, you guys. Well, if you have no other questions, then I'm going to let you go. This was another very long live feed, which means I have another long YouTube video to edit. Bear with me. And that's it. Maybe I'll splice them up into two. Maybe I'll do one for Masters Nationals and then splice it and do Chicago Pro. Maybe that's what I'll do. And that way we can break it down into two videos. So it's not quite as tedious for me. Thank you for exciting life feeds as always. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys for joining me. We had a lot of people on tonight, which was awesome. I love seeing these grow as well. Like I always tell you guys, come comment, ask questions, put your feedback in, all those kinds of things. I would love to hear what you have to say. And when I do put these up on YouTube, feel free to go over and do the same thing. I'd be more than happy to answer questions once I put up pictures and videos with it too for you, okay? We always love a good recap. Yes. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you guys. Because without you, there would be no reason to do these things, right? So I'm gonna let you guys go for tonight. I still have a bunch of work to get done tonight. I've got some posing critiques to give out and all those kinds of things. And that's it. We're off to a new week. We've got more shows coming up this week, so we'll do another BSPN preview probably on Thursday because it's a local show, so I don't have to travel until Friday. So we'll do a BSPN on Thursday to wrap up, but we'll do some other ones in between for just some other topics and stuff too. So hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night, 8:15. Good night, you guys.